West Africa has entered a new security phase as ECOWAS moves forward with the launch of 2,000 standby troops or forces, a decision that signals agency across the region and shows that leaders believe the situation can no longer wait. Ladies and gentlemen, guess what? Before we actually dive deeper into this particular developments with you, please make sure that you're going to help us push this particular video to important people like you. First of all, like this particular video, and then if you're actually new to our channel, make sure that you're going to subscribe and turn on your notification bell, because we're here to analyze African-related complex developments like this with you every single day.
On behalf of His Excellency the President of the Republic of Sierra Leone, Minister of Defense, Commander-in-Chief of the Republic of Sierra Leone Armed Forces, and Chairman of the Authority of Heads of States and Government of the Economic Community of West African States, Brigadier General Retired Dr. Julius Maada Bio, and the government and people of the Republic of Sierra Leone, it is a great honor and privilege to warmly welcome you to Freetown for the 44th Ordinary Meeting of the Economic Community of West African States Committee of Chiefs of Defense Staff. Your presence reflects our enduring solidarity and collective responsibility of member states in addressing the complex and evolving security challenges confronting our region. Sierra Leone is deeply honored to host this important meeting, which remains central to advancing ECOWAS's collective peace and security mandate. Distinguished Chiefs of Defense Staff, this meeting comes at a critical junction in the security evolution of our region. Your deliberations during the course of this conference to assess the general security situation in the ECOWAS region, review operational readiness, evaluate the ECOWAS logistics depot in Leone, and advance the activation of the ECOWAS Standby Force in its kinetic form are both timely and strategically significant. Today, the security landscape of West Africa is characterized by increasingly complex, interconnected, and transnational threats. Chief among these is terrorism, which continues to expand in scope, intensity, and geographic reach. Terrorist networks have demonstrated resilience, adaptability, and the ability to exploit ungoverned spaces, fragile border regions, and socio-economic vulnerabilities. Their objectives extend beyond violence. They seek not only to inflict violence, but also to undermine democratic governance, weaken state authority, disrupt economic activities, and undermine public confidence in national institutions. Their actions threaten our collective aspirations for prosperity, regional integration, and sustainable development. The implications are far-reaching. Terrorism threatens not only the physical security of our citizens, but also the political, social, and economic stability of our states. It diverts national resources from critical development priorities towards security imperatives. It disrupts trade, agriculture, education, and investment. It displaces populations and creates humanitarian challenges. Above all, it threatens the democratic gains that our region has worked tirelessly to achieve. Distinguished delegates, we must recognize that terrorism anywhere in our region constitutes a threat anywhere in our region. The security of the member states is inseparable from the security of all. No single nation, regardless of its strength or capacity, can effectively confront this threat in isolation. Our strength lies in unity. Our successes depend on collective action. It is, therefore, both necessary and commendable that ECOWAS is advancing the planning and generation of the ECOWAS Standby Force in its kinetic configuration. This represents a decisive and strategic shift towards strengthening our collective deterrence and response capability. The activation of the kinetic force demonstrates ECOWAS's readiness to respond decisively to emerging threats.
The decision follows a high-level meeting of military chiefs, from the member states of Economic Community of West African States or countries, widely known as ECOWAS. Yes, the meeting opened in Freetown, that is the capital city for Sierra Leone, and it's actually scheduled to last for 3 consecutive days. Senior military leaders gathered behind closed doors, to finalize how the regional standby force will actually be deployed, and of course how each country can actually contribute. Local media reports say around 2,000 troops or soldiers are actually expected in the first phase. Each member state is actually announcing the number of personnel it will actually send. Ladies and gentlemen, the plan focuses on readiness, coordination, and of course speed. Officials want a force that can actually move quickly if needed. This move or plan did not actually come suddenly. In March 2025, ladies and gentlemen, during a meeting in Abuja, ECOWAS chiefs of staff officially activated the standby force. The goal is very clear, ladies and gentlemen. The region faces security concerns linked to terrorism and of course cross-border crime. Leaders say stronger cooperation is actually necessary to protect stability. The standby force, ladies and gentlemen, includes military officers, police units, and of course civilian support teams from different member states. Yes, it is actually designed as a collective security tool. That means no single country carries the burden alone. The structure allows a shared command, planning, and of course coordinated response. Now, with the Freetown meeting, ladies and gentlemen, underway, military chiefs are actually reviewing logistics. They are actually discussing transport routes. They are actually confirming command structures. They are actually assessing readiness levels. Each step matters because deployment without preparation, ladies and gentlemen, could actually create confusion. Officials actually remain careful in their language. They stress stability. They actually stress cooperation. They stress lawful regional action, ladies and gentlemen. At the same time, ladies and gentlemen, the agency behind the meeting shows that leaders actually want the force ready without delay. Security analysts, across the West Africa are actually watching closely. A 2,000 troop or force initial phase suggests a starting point rather than a final number. If needed, the force structure allows expansion. Yes, that detail adds weight to the current discussions. The atmosphere around the summit is actually serious. No dramatic public speeches, ladies and gentlemen. No public tension, just structured meetings and of course firm coordination. Still, the scale of the decision signals that ECOWAS is actually preparing for real scenarios, not theoretical ones. And of course, as the chiefs continue their closed doors sessions, the next step may actually define how regional security operates in the months ahead. Guys, I am very shocked. That's why I took off my shirt. Look, let me tell you something. 8 years, they just came into existence less than 1 decade. But these people have actually managed to launch a joint force, which is more than 5,000. I think exactly 6,000. The first time they launched it, that was 6,000 troops or joint forces. But ECOWAS, which has actually came into existence more than decades, these people, they have actually finally launched just 2,000. Now, let us actually identify the difference between the 3 states, that is Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, and that of the ECOWAS bloc state. Let us actually identify the difference here.